I would have taken you up on that offer in a second.
If rumors about Disney making a live-action Treasure Planet sequel are true, there's actually a whole treasure chest of material that already exists, it just never made it to the screen. The original plan for Treasure Planet 2 included some really compelling storylines and characters that could easily be revived for a live-action follow-up. And honestly, doing that wouldn't just honor the original movie, it could also bring out a deeper, more grounded side of the story that animation couldn't fully capture back in 2002. Let's start where things left off in the first movie. Jim Hawkins returns to the Benbow Inn, a bit older and a whole lot wiser after his journey across the stars. But his story didn't end there. He was heading to the Intergalactic Academy, where he'd trained to become part of the Galactic Navy. That part of his life was going to be a major focus of the animated sequel, so why not pick up there for a live-action version? In a live-action setting, we could finally get a deeper look into Jim's growth, not just as a spacefaring pilot, but as a person. The original film gave us a troubled teen with a chip on his shoulder and a yearning for something greater. But by showing his time at the Academy, the sequel could dig into how he's trying to live up to that potential. He's no longer just a rebellious adventurer, he's learning discipline, leadership, and teamwork. This change would even feel more impactful in live action, where subtle emotions and grounded performances can really bring that internal struggle to life. And here's where it gets even more interesting, because Jim wasn't going to go through that journey alone. The abandoned sequel also planned to introduce a new character named Kate. She wasn't just a love interest, she was a full-on rival. Kate was supposed to be just as skilled, just as ambitious, and often neck and neck with Jim for the top position in their class at the Academy. That rivalry was going to turn into a romance, but not the typical rescue the girl kind of story. She was tough, smart, and absolutely capable of holding her own. Now imagine seeing that dynamic in live action. Two young cadets constantly pushing each other to be better, getting under each other's skin, and maybe, just maybe, starting to fall for one another despite themselves. There's a lot of emotional complexity there, and it's the kind of relationship that would feel natural and compelling on screen. Plus, it would force Jim to grow beyond the lone wolf persona he started with. It would show that he's learning to trust others and build deeper connections. But the plot wouldn't just revolve around academy life and budding romance, because there was also a villain. A really cool one. His name, Ironbeard. He was set up to be a terrifying antagonist, a pirate so brutal and dangerous he'd practically become more machine than man. Picture a towering, heavily armored cyborg with glowing red eyes and a voice that could freeze you in place. In fact, there was even concept art showing what he might have looked like, and let's just say it screams Willem Dafoe should play this guy. Ironbeard was designed to steal a highly advanced ship called the Centurion, which was said to be the fastest and most powerful vessel in the galaxy. This wouldn't be just any pirate raid, it was going to be a full-on hijacking of a top-tier Galactic Academy ship, the kind of move that would throw the entire Navy into chaos. That's the perfect setup for a high-stakes chase across the stars with Jim and Kate and probably a few familiar faces trying to stop him before he unleashes havoc. Speaking of familiar faces, one of the best parts of Treasure Planet was, of course, Long John Silver, the cook-turned-cyborg pirate father figure that made Jim's journey so memorable. In the planned sequel, Silver was going to come back in a big way, and we'd finally get to learn more about his past. There was going to be a moment where he opens up to Jim after a heated argument between Jim and Kate, revealing a heartbreaking story about a lost love that led him down the path to piracy and to becoming part machine. That kind of backstory wouldn't just deepen Silver's character, it would tie perfectly into one of his best lines from the original, "You give up a few things chasing a dream." It shows that behind all the swagger and sarcasm, there's a man who made some painful sacrifices. And in live action, that emotional weight could be portrayed in a way that really hits the audience. So taking all of this into account, a live action Treasure Planet sequel has way more to work with than people might think. It wouldn't need to start from scratch. The pieces are already there. A fully outlined plot, fresh characters, and even a visual aesthetic that would fit right into today's world of big-budget sci-fi adventures. And with the rise of Disney Plus and the success of other live-action adaptations, the idea of revisiting Treasure Planet doesn't feel so far-fetched anymore. Sure, the original film didn't blow up the box office, but over the years it's built a loyal fan base. A lot of that comes from how unique it was. It mixed pirates and space travel, steampunk and sci-fi, all in a way that felt bold and imaginative. And now that more people are discovering it through streaming, the demand for a live-action version is only growing. Of course, nothing's been confirmed officially, and Disney has kept pretty quiet quiet about any plans for a Treasure Planet remake or sequel, but there have been rumors, especially involving Lucasfilm. Considering their track record with Star Wars and Indiana Jones, they'd be a natural fit for handling something like Treasure Planet. The studio knows how to balance character-driven stories with massive visual spectacle, and this story would require both. Plus, let's not forget, this isn't your average fairy tale reboot. This would be a space opera with heart, a coming-of-age tale wrapped in intergalactic adventure. If Disney wants to offer something different from the usual princess and musical formula, Treasure Planet is the perfect choice. As for casting, that's another idea with tons of potential. While we probably wouldn't see Joseph Gordon-Levitt return as Jim, he's just aged out of the role, there's a new generation of actors who could bring the right balance of charisma and vulnerability to the part. A new star like Tom Holland could be the catalyst that propels a Treasure Planet live-action remake to unprecedented box office success. Holland brings not only a massive fan base from his Spider-Man fame, but also the perfect blend of youthful charm and emotional depth to embody Jim Hawkins. His presence would generate buzz across mainstream audiences and social media, attracting both nostalgic fans of the original and the new generation of moviegoers. In a cinematic landscape where star power heavily influences box office numbers, casting someone as bankable as Holland instantly raises the film's profile. And for Silver, that's going to be a tough one. Brian Murray's performance was iconic, and since he passed away in 2018, the role would need to be handled with care. But with the right actor, someone who can embody Silver's gruff exterior and fatherly warmth, it could absolutely work. Characters like Captain Amelia and Dr. Doppler being aliens would be easy to recast or even bring back with the help of CGI. Their designs are stylized enough that age wouldn't be an issue. In fact, with modern effects, they could even look more striking in live action than they did in animation. Of course, no adaptation is going to be a one-to-one remake. Disney would likely tweak the story, maybe modernize a few elements, tighten the pacing, or add in some new characters. But the heart of the story, Jim's journey, his relationships, and the adventurous spirit of the original should absolutely stay intact. So even though Treasure Planet 2 never happened in animated form, that doesn't mean its ideas have to be lost. In fact, they might even be better suited for live action. The depth of Jim's character arc, the rivalry-turned romance with Kate, the ominous presence of Ironbeard and Silver's hidden past, all of it could come together in a way that feels bigger, bolder, and more emotionally impactful. And maybe that's what this story needs, a second chance, not just to revisit a cult classic, but to expand it into something even more epic. Because in the right hands, Treasure Planet could go from forgotten gem to a full-blown sci-fi franchise. And let's be honest, who doesn't want to see a pirate ship flying through space again? And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.